Hi, this is Pastor Lydia Posselt, and I am the pastor of Family of God Lutheran Church in Buckingham, Pennsylvania, which is part of the ELCA. And welcome to Rev, where this Rev reviews books she's read. My desire for doing this is to provide a basic overview and what the appetite for books that I have found interesting or useful in my ministry, or books that are just good to be read if you're a human person out in the world. I want to help you sift through all of the tons of books that are out there so that you can hone in on the ones that you would find the most helpful in your context. And I'm beginning today with a book that I am a huge fan of, Outside the Lines: How Embracing Queerness Will Transform Your Faith by Mihee, Kim-Kort. This book is amazing. I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't absolutely love this book. The reason that I chose to read this book was in the before times, a congregation member approached me with a genuine desire and being very supportive of our church exploring the possibility of doing the intentional work of being open and affirming process that we have in the ELCA. And he had heard me talking about different things and different ways of talking about people, and he asked me, what does queer mean? He knew what it meant when it was being used in a negative way, but what did I mean when I used it in a positive way to describe what's going on in the world? And I didn't have a good answer for him, and I was kind of embarrassed about it. So this book was on my list to read, and I read it, and I definitely don't regret it. So after reading this book, thanks to Mihee Kim-Kort, I learned that some of the ways to positively define queerness and how the word queer is being kind of reclaimed is that it is transgressing boundaries that are necessary to be transgressed. It's bursting through binaries, crossing categories, rejecting limits, freeing us from the rigid identities or boxes that we find ourselves in, all in the name of justice and also of vulnerability. It's about being human and radical welcoming of ourselves and for other people as who they are as beloved children of God. That's what I took away from this book first and foremost. I loved everything about this book, and especially when Mihee Kim-Kort says right at the very beginning that Jesus is queer. Now, if that statement makes you feel uncomfortable, I highly recommend that you read this book and find out more. She also talks about intersectionality. She brings up a lot about purity culture and her struggles with that. And one of the things I particularly love about this book is how Kim-Kort talks about the church as drag, as in ritual and role and performance and play, not in a fake sense, but in a kind of a fun, joyful sense. So that is in this book, so go check it out for that reason as well. Most of all, this book tries to reclaim and redefine the word queer as a slur and as something that has been very damaging to the LGBTQIA community. And I want to share with you some of my favorite phrases from this book as sort of a teaser if you're not already super excited to read this book already. Some of my favorite phrases are promiscuous hospitality. Then there's also consensual salvation. And then last, the pulpit as phallic. Again, check this book out to read what she says about all of these. So lastly, I wanted to share with you, how would I use this book in my ministry? It's a great book to read just for your own edification, but this book is also, I think, designed to be read in community. This book might not be where I start a conversation about LGBTQIA plus people, but it's definitely a solid 2.0 book, a solid 200 level course that if a congregation had already begun the path of exploring this would be a really great book to be like, all right, you've heard about all of these issues, let's take it to the next level. this is obviously sort of a logical next step, and I might review some books that I would kind of use as a first step later on. We'll see how this goes. But this is a great way to start, or at least to continue the conversation in transforming these boundaries, doing things like promiscuous hospitality, and basically being just in the name of Jesus. So go check this book out. Go buy it from your preferred book vendor of choice, preferably a small local bookstore. Also, I'd like to conclude by reminding you of the YouTube Trinity. If you like this, please like, comment, or subscribe, or all three. But always, I'd like to remind you of the more important Trinity, and may the Lord bless you and keep you reading. Bye!